unbelievable.
Ronaldo, I think,
had his 600
last week.
Yes, sir.
Good stuff, guys.
Good job.
All right, so last night's NBA.
That was LeBron's team. LeBron's only part of that team.
Nuggets, Blazers.
Every team LeBron gets with, they go downhill. The team was a champion. LeBron brought a minority stake in them.
And the team Messi was playing, Liverpool, not Barcelona, not the team he plays for. I got you, see. That's why they're going downhill. That's why they lost. That's what you meant.
This highlight you've now seen 16 times. Malik Beasley flying in for the emphatic dunk over Al-Farouq Aminu.
Tough night for the Nuggets, man. Aside from dunks, they couldn't hit anything. If they were more than 5 feet from the basket, they weren't hitting the shots. That's why they lost. Blazers able to steal home court.
There was an NBA game last night? I thought the NBA was off.
No, there was a game last night.
I was watching the game. That wasn't the NBA. I thought that was a preseason.
No.
That was a
Same game
playoff.
here.
Your guy,
Nikola Jokic passing the ball through Aminu's legs to set up Paul Millsap.
This is one of the only things that went right all night for them. Jokic with a great little pass right here, though.
He had a bunch of outstanding passes. I'd like for an alleged superstar to take more than one shot in the first quarter, but, you know, I guess you're not always going to.
There you go. Now
There
you're
it
back
is.
spicy. Same intensity.
Got to get one little dig.
I gave him credit when he played great.
And you took it right back.
Can I say, listen, if you're a superstar, can't be having these little low teens performances home playoff games.
What about Dame? He was off yesterday.
They won, man. They were on the road.
We are going to talk about his struggles last night. Moving on to Kevin Durant, though. The reigning two-time Finals MVP is having himself quite the postseason, averaging 34 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists through 8 games. And, boy, he's enjoying every last second of it. Durant says, quote, "This is where this expletive is fun. This is when it's serious, and I'm just embracing it. I'm just having so much fun right now. This time of year is what I'm geared for. I'm just hooping at a high level and enjoying the competitiveness of the playoffs. You go through such a long season to get to this point, and now it's time to produce." Chris Carter, is Durant proving that he is indeed the best player in the NBA with the way he's been playing this postseason?
Well, he is playing at a level that would rival any level that he's played at. I would say it's the best level that he's played at. But when you play with the Warriors, he's developed a lot of his basketball game. But how can we compare it when they have such amazing spacing? Like, you cannot double team him at any time. And if he decides to drive to the rim because of the other players, I mean, he can get all the way to the hole, the way defenses have to. So I got to say this. Kevin Durant is playing the best basketball I have seen him play. I believe there's not a better player playing the basketball in the world than him. You can say it's unfair to LeBron because he's not in the playoffs, because you can only determine the best players because typically they're all in the playoffs. Yep. I don't see a player in Harden, in Giannis, in anyone else, Dame, anyone else playing at a high level in this play that is better than him. Kawhi would be the person I maybe would be able to pose the best argument, because on the defensive end, what Kawhi can do. But right now, if we were having a worldwide draft, Kevin Durant would be my first selection as far as the guy that I'm going to take, regardless of what age they are, to be able to move on if I had one selection.
I do believe Kevin Durant's playing better than anyone right now. But to the point C was alluding to in the beginning, if you're going to do an experiment, if you're going to try to test out any hypothesis, you need a set of conditions that is equal across all of your test subjects.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Correct. That what you're saying is, when someone goes and plays the Rockets, their entire game plan is built around stopping Harden. They will trap Harden. They will double team Harden. They will force the ball out of his hands. When someone goes and plays the Bucks, they will build a wall at the rim and say anyone but Giannis beat us. When the Sixers are playing the Raptors, their game plan is built around finding a way to slow down Kawhi Leonard. The Rockets not only are not building a game plan around stopping Kevin Durant, much like the Clippers in the previous series, they refuse to double team him, because Steph Curry is there and Klay Thompson is there. I also don't want to be too prisoner of the moment-y. 2 weeks ago, the discussion was, man, Steph Curry once again reminding us he's the most underrated player in the league, the best player on his team, when he opened the playoffs with a 38, 15, and 7. The following game, when Kevin Durant had more turnovers than field goal attempts and Steph threw up a 29 and 6, the conversation once again was, how can you be the best player in the league when you won't take over games? Now, since then, Durant has played at the highest level I've ever seen him play. His team has only lost one game. He's been extraordinary. But one of the reasons that I'm so confident Kevin Durant is leaving Golden State is because he justifiably feels like he deserves this crown unencumbered. And it's impossible to win it in Golden State without a yeah, but, without a okay. But when the other team is more worried about Steph from 30 than you from 18, how hard is your job compared to what Giannis and Harden have to do? So that's the problem when you have two guys in the discussion who are on the same team.
Yeah, I can understand the people that would have that argument. But in the last 2 years, in the playoffs and in the finals, the only thing that has stopped us from saying Kevin Durant is not the best player, it wasn't just because LeBron James is LeBron James. It's because how LeBron played in the playoffs.
Yep.
So now with LeBron not being in the playoffs, we have to be able to evaluate the teams that are in the playoffs. And of the teams in the playoffs, Kevin Durant, he has earned that respect by how he has dominated the game in the fashion, the limited number of shots, how he gets to the free throw line, what he's doing on the defensive end. To me, it's the most special performance that we've seen in the playoffs.
LeBron James did the thing that Kevin Durant hasn't done yet. He went and he won with a team of virtually no superstars.
He won with Kyrie.
He won with Kyrie, but he got to the finals. Okay, so he got to the finals with no one else really on the team, which is what KD hasn't done. Is there anything at this point that the Warriors can do, success or otherwise, if they make it to the finals, if they win, if not, that will change his course right now? Or do you think he's all but a lock to leave?
Oh, no, I think this has been essentially set, I don't want to say in stone, but set into motion over the course of the last year. And I think his coach knows it. I think his teammates know it. I think the league knows it. And I think that's one of the reasons why maybe he can play with such freedom ever since he dealt with a little bit of controversy after Game 2 of the Clippers series. And since then, he has played not just better, but with more authority than I have seen Kevin Durant play really at any time in his tenure with the Golden State Warriors. And I do think what Steve Kerr said the other day is correct, which is of everyone playing right now, Kevin Durant is the most skilled. Steve Kerr was very careful with how he said it. He didn't say Kevin Durant's the best basketball player because he's got to juggle the egos.
And he didn't say the best offensive player.
He said he's the most skilled player in the league right now. And let's just take LeBron out of it because he's not playing, to your point. I do think Kevin Durant can do more things on the court than anyone playing in the playoffs. I do think Kevin Durant is the guy that can fit into any system imaginable and be a great, great player. But when we judge guys in the playoffs, partially because defense in the playoffs gets so much harder, partially because teams have 2 weeks to scheme around stopping you in the playoffs.
And it's only the best teams.
Right, and we know how great Steph was. But before KD got there, we saw Steph get marginalized to a degree in the NBA Finals when a team's entire game plan was about slowing him down. If Steph wasn't there, forget the fact the Warriors have won championships. Then KD would have the opportunity, if he's playing at this level with no Steph, then it wouldn't even be a question.
Sure.
Right? Then it would be obvious. The only reason it's not obvious is because it's like, yeah, but they're still never sending doubles at you. They're still, and that's not KD's fault. I'm not holding that against him, but you have to include it in your analysis of him versus Harden or Giannis or Kawhi.
I believe we're going to determine the best basketball player in the world. And I believe it's going to be Kevin Durant at the end of this playoffs. We can say we're not going to give it to him because he's on the Warriors, but I think with their lack of a bench and the way they're playing basketball now, with Boogie being out, it's not as if there's an equal playing field, but the other teams have a better shot at beating them. And I think Kevin Durant, as we get through this playoff, he's going to continue to send the message because after game number 2, he has changed the narrative and what people were saying.
I'm really interested, assuming the Warriors get to the finals, if we have Durant versus Giannis or Durant versus Kawhi, if there is a similar situation where the Warriors win, where even if Durant wins MVP, if Kawhi does what he's been doing throughout the whole playoffs for a Raptors team that loses in 6, I do think some people will come out of that saying, okay, yeah, but if you flip-flopped them, if you took KD and put him on the Raptors and Kawhi and put him on the Warriors, guess what? The Warriors are still champions. That's what makes this specific circumstance so difficult to evaluate.
All right, we got to take a break. We touched on where KD might go next year. Coming up, will Durant and Kawhi Leonard pair up in Brooklyn this summer? That's next.
Then we're going to have the same damn problem, Jenna.
Same damn problem, just the opposite.
How are we going to